Welcome to my channel. I teach the Bible here, and this little message for Tuesday, March the 21st, 2023. 2023. I call this the protection of angels. It's one of the great stories, one of the great historical accounts, historical narratives in the Bible from Daniel 6:19 through 24. Hope you'll subscribe to my channel. I put stuff out every day, 4, 5, 6 shorts, main message of the day, and my daily devotions. And just my mission here, teach the Bible, and can see people come to Christ if they have not, and then develop biblical worldviews and help people understand the Bible so they can live it, flesh it out. That's what I do. So I hope you'll subscribe, hit the bell, make comments, help me get this out to more people. Share it with someone. Daniel was a Jewish guy serving first King Nebuchadnezzar and later King Darius. These guys were in the area of Babylon. Darius was actually the Medo-Persian Empire who overran Nebuchadnezzar and Babylon. But Daniel was faithful to God no matter what the heathens he worked for imposed on him. Faithful to God no matter what. And on top of his faithfulness to God, he was so good at his work, so effective at his work, that the King Darius, who's running the show now, planned to put him in charge of the whole kingdom. Okay? Imagine that. Imagine a Jewish guy running a heathen kingdom. Well, Daniel becoming the head of the kingdom was too much for all the administrators. Way too much for what today we would call their deep state. Way too much for those operatives, okay? So all the government big shots tried to find grounds for charges against Daniel so that they could get rid of him, But no such luck. They had no such luck. They could not find any corruption. They could not find any negligence on Daniel's part. He was just too good at what he did, too honest, too straightforward, too effective. These guys knew about Daniel's worship of his God. So they had an idea. They said, let's get the king to make a law. And the king could make any law he wanted, okay? To make a law against praying to any god other than him. The king was, their law considered their king of God. And we'll have him do this just for 30 days. We'll get him to put it in writing and sign it into law. Make it official. Codify it, okay? And then it's legal. And then, by the laws of the Medes and Persians, it cannot be broken. It can't be broken. It can't be changed. So the king fell for this slick plan and signed it into law. The penalty for breaking the law was death in the lion's den, okay? Just keep the lions hungry and toss the victim in as dinner for the lions was the idea. When Daniel heard about the law, he did what he'd always done. He prayed to the Lord 3 times a day, bowed on his knees and prayed to the Lord 3 times a day. The government big shots caught Daniel praying, of course, that was always the plan. And they went to the king, and they asked the king if he had put out the decree according to the laws of the Medes and Persians. What did the king say? He said, yeah, I put out the law, and the law stands and it cannot be changed. It was good for 30 days. Then the deep state guys told the king that Daniel was worshiping his God and breaking the law. They reminded Darius that the law can't be changed. It stands. So the king was distressed, and he looked for some way to try to save Daniel. Couldn't find it. Finally, the government administrators reminded him again that he can't change the law. So the king gave the order to have Daniel thrown into the lion's den. And when Daniel was tossed in the lion's den, Darius the king said, "May your God whom you serve continually rescue you." He realized he'd been duped and wanted the best for Daniel because he's a good man, okay? Daniel was in the lion's den, and a rock was placed and sealed over the entrance, so there was no chance of him getting out. The king went home, felt bad. He felt bad about this. Couldn't eat, couldn't accept any entertainment, and he couldn't sleep all night. At dawn the next day, King Darius headed for the lion's den. And we pick up the historical account in Daniel 6:19 through 24. At the first light of dawn, the king got up and hurried to the lion's den. When he came near the den, he called to Daniel in an anguished voice, "Daniel, servant of the living God, Has your God whom you serve continually been able to rescue you from the lions? Daniel answered, O king, live forever. My God sent his angel, and he shut the mouths of the lions. They have not hurt me, because I was found innocent in his sight, nor have I ever done any wrong before you, O king. The king was overjoyed and gave orders to lift Daniel out of the den, and when Daniel was lifted from the den, no wound was found on him. Why? Because he had trusted in his God. At the king's command, the men who had falsely accused Daniel were brought in and thrown into the lion's den along with their wives and children. And before they reached the ground, the lions overpowered them and crushed all their bones. In other words, something special was going on for good old Daniel. No kidding. Darius wanted to know if Daniel's God had saved him. Daniel's answer is one for the ages. He said, God sent his angel to shut the mouths of the lions. Why? Because Daniel was innocent and Daniel trusted God to the point where he'd risk his life to keep worshiping. That's important. Notice that no wound was found on Daniel because he trusted in his God. Daniel's accusers and their families were thrown into the lion's den, and before they hit the ground, the lions had overpowered them and crushed all their bones, killed them. Here's the point to the whole thing for you and me today. Okay, actively trust God like Daniel, and he can send his angels to protect you. Trust and live under God's protection, and he'll even throw in the angels to protect you. Live that way. Hope you subscribe, hit the bell, and make comments.